What's up, Clemson fans? It's time to roar. This is another segment of Around the Bases. I'm your host, Big Al, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Corey Welch. We are talking anything and everything that is Clemson baseball. And look, to this segment right here, we're going to do our Chutes and Ladders segment, which is a brand new segment debuting tonight. So you're very lucky to be a part of this. It's going to kind of give you some of our positive and our negative thoughts from the weekend. And look, if you enjoy these segments, if you love talking Clemson baseball, make sure you like the show, make sure you share it, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We want to get all Tiger fans out there involved with some of the best Clemson baseball content around. Corey, let's get into our Chutes and Ladders. I'll tell you how we're going to do this. I will let you start with your shoots or your negatives, and then I'll give you mine, and then we'll do the ladders the same ways. Give me your shoots for the weekend.
Okay, so we're going to go with the shoots. First of all, it's just that finding that third starter. You know, we've been struggling on Sundays, and today, this past weekend, it was more of a role reversal. We got out of the gate, struggling a little bit. And Lindley got his first start of the year, inning and 2/3, 10 hits, 8 earned, a couple walks, and only 1 strikeout. So to me, he's not throwing many things that are missing the barrel. Luckily, in that game, that's where Clemson decided to pick up the slack with the bats and outscored Boston College. But that was really the first shoot that I have. What do you have, Al?
Look, I had kind of the very same thing. I put simply Jackson Lindley. That was a tough game for him, man. We were kind of scratching our head as to why he was, chosen to be the starter. It makes a little more sense, I guess, in hindsight, knowing all the arms that were not available. However, he was one of the highest ERAs Clemson had going into this game. It was just kind of weird to start him on a Friday night. But like you said, the bats made up for it, so it wasn't that big a deal. Hopefully Jackson Lindley gets it all figured out. We're pulling for him as always. He's a Clemson Tiger, so he's all right with me. But we're going to try to get him kind of stepping up to the plate as some of the other Clemson Tigers did this weekend. But yeah, Lindley was my first shoot. As a matter of fact, I want to go ahead and jump into my second one. I was going to save this for the end, but I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way right now. I'm going to say the other negative I saw was the umpires, and I'm getting them for calling out Kier for runner's interference in the 5th. I know I mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw the play. I saw the replay. I saw it live, and I was baffled by this. Now, from what I've been told, these rules change all the time, especially for things like runner's interference. So I'm not sure what the most current rules say. Okay, and the announcers were Boston College guys on the air. As a matter of fact, I told somebody on Facebook, I think it was Jason Priester, one of our other baseball guests, and I said, look, the Boston College guys who actually said the words, Boston College has them right where they want them, as they were down 16-10 in game 1, were even saying that they thought it was an easy, safe call, no interference. Okay, so I think that tells you a little bit, and they were kind of going over it and pouring over it and saying, maybe his hands were a little up in the air. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was just a natural sliding motion. He wasn't away from the bag. He was on top of it. I was very confused and never figured out why they called it. I heard some people tell me it was because his hands were in the air. I don't think they were anywhere near high enough to get that call. Did you see it?
I never did see it. I did see a lot on social media, and you nailed it. Those rules change all the time. I mean, another thing to look at, and this is without me even seeing the play at all, was especially being on turf, did he slide past second base? But again, I don't know. But based off of everything that I've seen, I mean, it had to have been a bad call. So
yeah, Tiger fans were not happy. I saw that on some of the forums and everything as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get to my next shoot because it's a simple one. Boston College. Boston College got swept on their home turf. Okay, so that's never a good thing. I put them as my third shoot. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about the Clemson battery. And it's not the fact that they didn't pitch well, because some of them did pitch very well. I'm talking about all the errors. They had tons of errors. They had a lot of throws that went awry. They had 2 catcher interferences, I believe. I think they had 4 pitcher/catcher errors in a game. I think Clemson had 5 errors in game 1. I think it was 6, and they went back and changed one of them to a hit later on. So just a lot of errors that just kind of don't typically happen. You don't see a lot of balls thrown away. You certainly don't see catcher's interference a lot. I think Clemson's had that called several times this year. and it happened twice in one game. So that's kind of tough. But again, those are pretty fixable things. I'm not too worried about that. But it was something I noticed for the weekend. Any other shoots you got on your list?
Oh, just one, and this is kind of a observant thing is we got to give Boston College a better scoreboard. I noticed that during the game, it's your general high school scoreboard, like I said, West Side High School. I know that's a brand new facility, and it may not be the highest priority at Boston College, but come on,
you got to go all out, man. Spring for the scoreboard.
Right.
If you're getting a whole new facility, right? I mean, come on.
That's right.
I would agree with you there. Let's get to the good stuff. This is what everybody wants to see. They don't want to hear us bashing everybody, unless, of course, it's the opponent. But let's get in there and talk about our ladders. Give me what you have on your list.
Well, and it's really the same as my shoot is the starting pitching, and I'm going back to something that you don't see in college baseball very much is a complete game, and at a time where the Clemson really needed it, Nick Hoffman delivered. I mean that was huge with all the injuries that have been going on. And that probably had a little bit of decision of Coach Lee, like pushing the envelope and rolling him out there. And then Askew, again, it's the best I've seen him. I mean, just filling up the zone. It looked like his arm slot was down just a little bit, but it just literally looked like he was just flipping the ball and filling up the strike zone. So, like I said, it was that third that we kind of struggled with, but at the same time, like that starting pitching stepped up and helped them get a sweep.
Yeah, without a doubt. As a matter of fact, number one with a bullet is Nick Hoffman on my list. In particular, Nick Hoffman. Look, we all know what Askew can do, and he's been pitching great. I hope he continues to do so. If he's pounding the zone, he's almost unhittable at times, which we've talked about off the air as well. That's going to be a huge, huge boost for Clemson baseball if Askew can keep it in the zone and keep his command. But Nick Hoffman, what a surprise. Complete game, only gave up 2 runs. I think one of them really shouldn't have been his fault. I think they made a bad play at first base from what I remember. But anyways, I digress. Giving up 2 runs in a complete game, not bad at all. One of the key things in that, 0 walks, which is insane, especially for, the control issues that some of our pitchers have had. Hoffman comes in out of nowhere. I think his longest, outing was like 3 innings before this. He comes in, gets his start, and complete game. It's unbelievable. He did an unbelievable job. As a matter of fact, I think he's earned a starting spot, at least a chance to start on the weekends from here on. And I think most of that is due to the fact that Clemson has not had, a consistent starter. None of them have been consistent unless you want to count Askew, and he's only been there a couple weeks. Sharp has gotten beat up the past couple games. Olenchuk has got beaten up the past couple games. And that third guy has always been off and on. We hadn't had a for sure guy on Sunday anyways. So I think you got to give Hoffman a look on the weekend. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. You go out there and you throw a complete game. I mean, there's nothing else he can do to stay the case. So,
right.
it was just it's good to see. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Throughout a season, a lot of things that you don't plan for are going to happen, and I think the Hoffman case is a scenario of that, and hopefully it'll fills that third spot and they can start rolling. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the second one, and this is kind of an all-encompassing, but I put Clemson bats all around. Okay, so Parker and Grice continue to do what they've done this year. Grice was not overswinging this weekend. Grice was all over it. He had a great weekend. He was driving the ball, again, not very Grice-like because they weren't going out of the park, but it doesn't matter. He was getting the job done. He was getting RBIs all over the place. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure in the 16-run game, he had 7 RBIs in that game.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's right, which is insane. And that's what you need. As long as you're putting the ball and driving the ball like they were, the runs will come. The homers will come too. Don't worry about that. That's what we want to see. But a couple of guys I was real pleased with, Elijah Henderson. He got off to a very rough start this year. A lot of people were questioning whether he should even be in the game. He's been swinging the bat much, much better lately. He had a great weekend. Max Wagner had a pretty good weekend as well. I think he had a rough Saturday. I don't know that he got a hit in game 2. At least game 1 game 1 on Saturday, game 2 of the series. I don't know that he had a hit, but he swung the ball better. He was putting the bat on the ball and did pretty good at third as well. Davis Sharp, he finally got some hits. He's been kind of inconsistent in the lineup, out of the lineup, with pitching duties and whatnot. So it was good to see him get some hits as well. In Adam Hackenberg, we've talked about Adam Hackenberg, and hopefully he could be a boost to the lineup. And he was that. He finally broke through and got some hits this weekend. It's nice to have somebody to protect Grice. in the lineup. So look, I mean, things are really looking up for Clemson baseball, especially at the plate right now. So I was very happy with Clemson bats all around. That was my last ladder.
Yeah, and that's you kind of touched on it too. I was going to bring up Grice, who won ACC Player of the Week. Pretty impressive feat for a freshman. And the thing, you even go back and thinking about him. My concern for Caden at the start of the year was, I mean, we talked about it on our first show. Like, he was like our first player spotlight. Like, everybody knew how special of a talent he was. But the thing that I always kind of get concerned about is, you get so much attention, like, and the kid hadn't even played a college game yet. So I'm like, man, hopefully he can get through it. And I mean, he has. He's earned his stay at Clemson for sure. And then you touched about Hackenberg. I mean, now you get that back going. You have that 3-4-5 with Grice, Parker, and Hackenberg, who Parker's still being consistent. And then, I mean, again, like we're dreaming a little bit here, but you get Dylan Brewer back in the mix. Kiara Meredith starts getting on bases. I mean, that's a formidable lineup that Clemson will be. And now's the time of year where you really have to start finding your groove and getting going. So they're hopefully this past weekend, we go back a couple of weeks ago with the Notre Dame series where you lose 2 out of 3 at home, but you go on the road and sweep Boston College. So it kind of offsets that as far as it goes. And hopefully that's something that, you can gain a little more traction moving forward too.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, hey, look.
I got one more too. It's because it's a midweek. Yeah, I got another one. Alex Urban. I mean, we as a freshman, as a pinch hitter, to come in and get the job done right there. Like, it's easy to overshadow that, as bad as it sounds, because of it being midweek and things like that. But as the week kind of unfolded, I mean, that could have been kind of the thing that kind of propelled them going into Boston College. So can't leave the freshmen out. So.
No, absolutely not. And that's a great point. As a matter of fact, a lot of times those midweek games get overshadowed because they're the midweek games. You're expected to kind of win those games. People don't understand how talented some of these teams are that are coming here midweeks or that we're going to midweek. So that was definitely good. He'd come so close this year, and he finally broke through a complete laser out of here. So that was very good to see. That's an excellent point for sure. Look, so we're going to try to do this going forward. Our Chutes and Ladders segment, we're going to kind of tell you about our positives and negatives that we saw over the weekend. I hope you enjoyed this new segment. And, hey, make sure you catch us on our next segment. We're going to post here in a little while, and we'll see you as we slide into home.